demented. She doesn't do well anymore. She doesn't understand. You know, the words are going in, but when they get there, they're all scrambled, and she does not know what the heck you're talking about. And she got to where now she takes her clothes off. You know, she'll sit down and go to the toilet. She'll pull her shorts and her pants down, her underwear down. She'll go to the toilet, and then she just kicks her underwear and her shorts over in the corner, because it's easier than pulling them up.
Oh my goodness.
And then she runs around with nothing on her bottom. Sharon said, oh, that's all Charlie would need, is to have Marcia run around the house with a bare bottom. I said, well, what can I tell you? You're still gonna get her. That's why she has her today. We took her. We took her up Thursday or Friday. I don't know what day we took her. Said, guess what? You're gonna have her.
Yeah,
It was an understanding that once she retired, the care of Marcia would be 50-50. You know, I would keep her half the time and she would keep her half the time. But somehow, over the years, that just slipped everybody's mind. So,
It's easier, right?
huh?
It's easier to not have to worry about it, right?
They don't care. As long as I've got her, it's fine.
But we can't do anything.
You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. You can't just say, let's go out to dinner tonight. Because you ain't going nowhere. She's used to be she would go out to eat and she would just look down at her plate and eat. Now she hides her face.
Oh.
And she won't lift her hands and she won't eat at all. And we took her to my aunt's funeral, and Sharon said she was almost under the pew trying to get down where nobody could see her.
She just doesn't like to be seen.
She gets very upset around strangers, so you can't take her out to eat anymore. You can't take her around a group of strangers. She's very upset. And now she's could always say my name, always. And like the other night, I asked her, "What's my name? What's my name? Who am I?" She looked at me and she looked at me and she strained, and about 15 seconds later she said, "Carl?" I said, "No. What's my name?" She thought and she thought. She said, "Oh, no, not Carl. Chuck. Chuck." I said, "No, Marty, not Chuck. My name is Carolyn. My name is Carolyn. Your name is Marty. Okay, what's your name?" "Chuck."
Oh.
"Never mind, Marty, we're going to quit this game because you really don't know who any of us are."
Poor thing.
She doesn't know who we are, and if you tell her, turn the light out when you leave the room, and she'll start walking down the hall, and you'll say, "Marcia, turn the light out," and she'll turn around and look at you like, "I don't get it. I don't understand what you're saying. I know you're saying something, but I don't know what it is." So you have to go in and take her by the hand, lead her over by the light switch, and say, "See, turn the light out." 2 seconds later, you can say, "Turn the light out." She won't know what you're saying. So, like I told you, you cannot just tell her something or ask her something because she don't get it. You're wasting your breath and your energy. You might as well just get up and do it yourself because she doesn't understand.
The door, sweetie.
And I told my sister that Dr. Nolan said the dementia is progressing faster than he thought. And my sister said, "Well, I don't want to put her in a nursing home. I'll take her." I said, "Okay, that's fine." I don't think she thought I was going to say that. Because then the next time I talked to her, she says, "Well, whatever you decide, Carolyn." "Yeah, sure, as long as you don't have to take her." Well, I got news for her. If she has to be put in a nursing home, it's going to be in San Antonio, close to her, because she has her grandson who drives. She has 2 daughters and herself, and there's all my aunt's family. There's umpteen million people that can check on Marty every day. Whereas she's here, it's me. I would be the only one to check on her. So if she has to go in a nursing home, she's going in San Antonio.
Can you help on football, Carly?
So doesn't that normally happen pretty young for?
Well, it's because of her Down syndrome. The doctor said they age much faster, dementia sets in much sooner. In fact, she has lived long past her sell-by date. You know,
Really?
she should have died a long time ago. Down syndrome children do not live very long.
There's
So,
all different
yeah, Marty
levels
is
of
just-
Down syndrome, you know,
Right,
how
right,
bad they are.
So she used to be a lot more functional.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, she
Oh,
used to be, and she can't see very well at all
no,
anymore.
she can only see peripherally. She doesn't see head on because her retinas are all scarred.
She could turn on the TV, change the channels, take VCR tapes, put in the VCR, run the VCR, you know.
She
That
doesn't
would
want the
be-
TV on at all anymore.
That would be way beyond her capability
Yeah.
now.
Really, she doesn't like the TV?
She doesn't want the TV on at all. Well, I think because she can't see it, she doesn't want it on.
What
And
does she do?
she plays with her dolls in her office stuff. That's her. And I guess when she gets bored is when she stands in the hall. She stands there and stands there. So I go and get her and bring her in here and put her in the chair where Dick's sitting, and I give her a big tall cold drink and a couple of cookies, and I'll say, okay, stay in here where there's humans for a while. And she'll sit anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and then she'll finally get up and go back to her room. So,
A nursing home might be good, but then again,
but
it's
like,
still
yeah,
people.
like I told my
She's-
sister Sharon, I said, it would make no difference to Marcia. Because I said, she don't know who we are anymore anyway. So,
If the transition would probably be hard because she would be like scared, right? But once she got used to them.
used to those people that are taking care of her, would make no difference to her. Coming!
Yeah, it probably
Here,
wouldn't take,
brother, let me fix your skirt.
wouldn't take more than 3-4 days for her to
Yeah.
get used to it.
Here, let me fix your skirt's tucked in. Okay.
Mom,
Okay.
what do you think we're having for dinner?
Oh, Carolyn, careful.
It might be something that you don't like. I don't even know what you like. I know. I know you know what you like, but Grandma don't know
I know what I
you
like. Is that what you said?
Do you like barbecue? You do? Okay. Do you like corn? No corn. It's a vegetable, God forbid.
I know, really.
And do you like,
But he'll have to eat a little bit if he wants anything good.
see what else is Grandma making? You don't like mashed potatoes, and no sense asking that question. Do you like, Jell-O with pineapple in it? No? Let's not take care of that. So far, we're only hitting one.
And to be honest, that's probably just a maybe. It'll depend on what it looks like when he sees it in his mood.
Barbecue.
He's very
We
But
got Rudy's barbecue.
The
because
rule
we know you
is,
guys
if
like
he
Rudy's-
wants
Rudy's
anything
barbecue.
like dessert, he has to eat at least a little bit of it.
And,
Yeah, we got some
oh, baked beans. Do you like baked beans? They're sweet.
They're sweet, they're good, William, you should try them.
Try a bite and see if you like them. Then you can tell Grammy whether you like them or not, so I'll know not to have them next time if you don't like them.
No, not mashed.
No, they're regular.
Oh, you like refried beans,
Mhm.
mashed beans. Well, I'll have to put that on my list. William
It's
likes
like texture, it's a
Yeah.
texture thing, but
Yeah.
we're still trying to get him to be acclimated to things, so.
Yeah.
We make him eat at least one bite of everything, or
You're getting to be a big boy. You don't eat like your uncles, let me tell you.
He'll be an eater.
But you don't eat like your Uncle Arthur, 'cause he would eat meat. I mean, he would eat vegetables, any kind of vegetable you put on the table, any kind. But he hated meat.
Really?
Oh, he hated meat.
I love
Yep, he didn't like meat. He'd wrap it up in his napkin. He'd drop it on the floor. He'd clean up this big pile of meat off the floor.
Shut the door, sweetie.
He'd do everything he could so he wouldn't have to eat the meat. But he'd eat all the vegetables.
Brian's the one that's trying to go without meat now.
Yeah, he's trying to go without meat, but like he said, he's like me. I'm a carb freak. You know, anything with carbohydrates in it I love. Well, that's not doing me any good. I might as well just eat fat and get it over with, 'cause,
Yeah, I like carbohydrates too.
oh, yes. I do dearly love them.
And sugar. I like my sugar.
Oh, yes. And we have cherry pie and pumpkin pie with vanilla ice cream.
It is fall.
ice cream.
Well, you have to eat some
Yeah,
dinner.
you
You
six
gotta
bites
eat
of
some
everything
dinner
else,
before you
and then
have the
can
cherry
have
pie and pumpkin.
You have to eat 6 bites of everything on your plate. You have to eat 6 bites of everything on my plate that I don't like.
Yeah.
No, just 6 bites of everything on your plate.
Yeah.
And I will, I'll accept it for you.
Mommy's nice and daddy.
Now, well, I'll make sure he has mashed potatoes and corn.
Oh,
and
mommy's
bacon.
just. But daddy's
Now I
just
bought
cruel and unusual.
sliced barbecue for the adults and chopped barbecue for the kids that I thought would put on hamburger buns and it would be easier for them to eat
Yeah.
than chewing
And you
on the
need to learn how to
slice.
eat because they're going to be everywhere.
And
So you might as well learn how to like them now.
Well, if he likes buns, you know, if he likes.
hamburger
Right.
buns?
William, you're gonna have sloppy Joe. You want sloppy Joe?
Okay.
Okay, Grandma.
Well, I said when Ginny tells me anytime,
Yeah, anytime's fine with
okay,
me.
then I will get up and start putting
I
it
love
in.
sloppy joes.
You love
Do you need any
Can
help
I
with
eat
anything?
one turkey?
But you like the sloppy joes out of the can.
When is sloppy?
If I'd have given my kids sloppy joes out of the can, they'd have looked at me like I lost my mind. A sloppy joes.
No.
Jenny's asking if there's anything she can do to help.
Yeah, can I help you?
No, I just gotta heat everything up.
What is a sloppy joe?
You'll see.
Okay, sure.
I want a
I have a
sloppy
question for you, Grandpa.
Yeah.
I think you've told me this before, but I don't remember.
I want a sloppy joe.
Oh, yes, Michael, you're gonna get a sloppy Joe. How did you and Grandma meet?
Well,
Because you were up in Wisconsin and she was down here in Texas.
yeah, but I joined the Air Force and came to San Antonio. And actually, it was my second tour in San Antonio because I was at, of course, I went to Lackland, but then I went to Alaska. And I came back and got stationed at Kelly Field and at the security service. And that's where we, you know, used the Russian to
Yeah.
translate the communications.
Now, did you go to a school like Jenny did for Russian, or
I went to Syracuse University for Russian. Yeah.
how
It was-
long did they give you in class?
I only got 6 months, whereas Arthur and Kelly had a year. So mine was strictly oriented around military. Hi there, gal. Military communications, you know, aircraft communications. And back then, they were still using manual Morse code and stuff.
Yeah.
And by the time Art and Kelly got in, there were computers. There were no computers. You know. I mean, Kelly Field did have a computer there. If you've heard of UNIVAC,
Yeah, wasn't that one of those that was like the whole building or
yeah,
a room or something?
yeah, yeah. And basically, you used IBM punch cards, and you had to key punch the information into the cards, and you stacked them into UNIVAC. And I think UNIVAC could sort and process them to a certain extent, you know. But as I remember then, I don't even think those UNIVACs at Kelly Field had magnetic recorders on them. You know, how the later computers got the big reels, you know, that were about this big, you know,
With the dot, the punch card.
yeah, punch card stuff. Yeah. Anyway, I was stationed at Kelly Field, and there again, I didn't get paid much money, so to get a little extra money to run around, I worked at Kelly Drive-In Theater, and Carolyn's mom was the lady in the little box office where you drive into the drive-in, you know, that took the money. And I was the guy that run to the cars, get the money, come back, get tickets, take it to the car, go back to the other side, get the money and take it, you know. And you got times when people come in and times when it's pretty quiet, you know. And I'd stand around and talk with her mom. And she was only 17, and she dropped out of high school. So her dad didn't feel that education was a waste of time. Once you turn 16, you get out of school and you get a job. And he tried to talk our boys into that too, you know. It's just a damn waste of time going to school. You know, just as soon as you get 16, you can get out and get a job. You get a job, go to work. And so, not only did that give her no incentive, I mean, she was like a DNF student, and she only went freshman high school, you know, and so she was working at Newby's cafeteria and some of the other places she was working. But then she came down to the drive-in theater because her grandpa, her mother's father, stepfather actually, was managed the theater. So she worked in the snack bar at the break time, you know, between the movies. And then after the break time, the second movie started. Her ma, things then really quiet down. Almost nobody comes in anymore. Her ma used to ask me if I'd take Carolyn home, you know. So I started taxiing her home, and then got more and more acquainted, and just evolved into something serious, you know. She was a pretty nice girl. She didn't drink. I think she was smoking at that time, but half the world smoked at age 16. I started smoking at 14. I think she said her aunt that just died from the cancer was teaching her, taught her how to smoke when she was like 15 or something like that. You know. And this aunt that just died from cancer, lung cancer, and then it went on metastasized into the brain and stuff, but she was still smoking after she was taking chemo treatments, you know. And so, you know, and at the funeral, her kids are all puffing and smoking and everything, you know, and you think you get the hint, you know. Of course.
I guess it is really hard to quit.
Yeah, after Grandma and I got married, we went to Wisconsin. She had a lot of trouble with bronchitis and pneumonia and cold weather. And I mean, that was cold weather up there. She'd been to Pennsylvania before, but she'd never been to Wisconsin.
Yeah, pretty good.
And, I mean,
Like,
Great
what's it called,
Lakes
the
make
lake
it colder,
effect or something?
yeah, I mean, yeah, it was. I think we got married in November on November 2nd, and well, I was supposed to be able to stay at I was supposed to be able to stay at Kelly Field till I got out of service. I only had a little over a year to go, and at my low rank at that time, you had to ask your officer to get permission, to get married. And so he said, yeah, that'd be not a problem because I'd stay in San Antonio till I got out. And we got married, and I think it was about 2 weeks after I got married, I got orders to go to Peshawar, Pakistan.
Oh no.
You've heard of Peshawar nowadays, right?
Uh-huh.
And Bin Laden's old stomping ground. But at that time, the Paks were real friendly with us. And what we were doing at that time, of course, we were still monitoring the Russians, but the big activity at Peshawar was launching U-2s, across the Soviet Union. And so I got 30 days leave, and I can't remember the date, but it probably would have been the first or second week of December, something like that, when we went home to Wisconsin. And it was like freakishly cold, because a lot of times you have green Christmas in Wisconsin, and it doesn't turn white until January or February. There was snow on the ground, and it was like 26 degrees below zero. And
Right.
Wow.
Carolyn got out of the car and made a dash for the house, and she was like a bear that had got thrown out of his hibernation cave, So, yeah, and I was young and foolish, and I was married, but I took my wife home and left her with my parents. I mean, I knew she'd be taken care of, but I didn't consider the culture shock, between Texas and Wisconsin, and the climatic shock. And then also my parents were older, and here she is, an 18-year-old girl, and she was pregnant by then. And so that was a rough road for her. My sister extradited her out of that house into my sister's house after I don't know time, a few weeks, a couple months or so. And my sister has kids that are almost like Grandma's age. One niece I think is maybe a year younger than Carolyn, but so my sister had 8 kids, and there were 4 or 5 of them that were all like teenagers too, So she fit in pretty good there.
Yeah. That was really nice.
Yeah. But then that's like I said, I sent her the package from Pakistan, with the
Oh yeah.
big dupatta and stuff, she didn't get I wasn't trying to be humorous. I was a real nice, that was an excellent outfit, with the hand-printed silk, from the Pakistani, India type markets. Anyway, I don't remember how far along she was, but when she was about probably 8 months along, she was getting to the point where she wanted to be with her mama when the baby was born, because I was halfway around the world. So I don't know if my folks probably helped out. I didn't have any money, because once you get married, they take half you don't get paid anything anyway. And then they take half of that and give that to your wife, you know, for the allotment. And I think at that time, my amount of money, my spending money, when I was in Pakistan was like $125 a month. You know, and that didn't go too far. So she went back to San Antonio by train, and then Rick was born, and all three of our kids were born early, and he was a colicky, not done in the oven, you know, before he came out, so he had problems. And Brian had more problems, and Arthur had the worst problems, you know, because Arthur had, actually, he was early enough that they used to call it highline disease. I don't know, but where your lungs aren't developed enough, you know, to breathe good. Nowadays they save babies that look like pigeon squabs that fell out of a nest, you know, but back then, the Kennedys had a baby like that, and it didn't survive. So, I mean, they didn't have technology to do it.
So you cold, he quakes, you needing a drink. I understand.
Okay. What's the temperature in here? How are you guys?
I'm sure she is.
That feels fine to me.
What's
She'll
it?
come up with any excuse.
Well, if she's playing in front of that air conditioner,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cold.
Feels good to me.
That is cold. Yeah. So anyway, that's how Grandma and I got together, working at a drive-in theater. But I knew her mother longer than I knew her.
That's fine.
Yeah. And I had a good mother-in-law. I always got along real good with my mother-in-law. She traveled she came to Wisconsin several times, and we went on van trips and stuff with the kids with Grandma. Yeah. I don't know how you do that, but you can ask your dad what that is.
Yeah, you can play with that.
I don't know what it is.
Not on the table, though. You need to play with it over here on the carpet, okay? It'll make too much noise on the TV.
Whoop.
So you were an officer in the Air Force?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was only a airman second class. That, Jenny might know what.
Carly, careful.
An
Ri-
airman what? Second class?
Yeah, rift. You know what a rift is when you're in service?
I don't think so. Of course, I was Navy, so.
Yeah. Well, the Navy experienced it too, but in the late 50s, rift is a reduction in force,
Oh.
and
Yeah, because of World War II coming down, right?
it was that Korea was over. It was past Korea. It was Cold War time, and economy wasn't good. And what are they talking about doing now?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
if they don't have what they got a gang of 12 right now that are trying to figure out how to save $4 trillion or something. If they don't make their recommendations that pass the Senate and the House by in what, so many months, it automatically triggers a rift in the military and in all the government forces and stuff, which means half the military are going to go home. Yeah, and like they're talking about laying
Well,
off
hey,
on.
that's a good incentive, though.
Yeah,
It's a good incentive for them to actually compromise on something,
do
you know?
something.
I mean,
Yeah, Yeah,
I mean, principles are one thing, but
yeah. Well, anyway, so when I was in the Air Force, see, that was E3, you know, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty low, you know.
yeah,
But
basically entry level. I mean,
well,
well,
E1 is a basic,
yeah.
E2 is Airman third class, and E3 is Airman second class. We called Airman first class was like a buck sergeant, you know. In the Navy, you got,
Petty officer at E4.
huh?
You're a seaman until E4, and then you're a petty officer.
Yeah, but you're different kinds of seamen.
Seaman, yeah.
Yeah,
Seaman recruit, seaman apprentice, and then seaman, basically.
yeah, yeah.
Well, see, it's weird for me because when we went to training school for so long, that what they did was they would give you your E4 when you graduated.
Yeah, well,
It was a lot easier for us.
the military at the time that I was in could not get E4 without a second enlistment.
Wow, yeah. Well, I think the reason they did it was because I don't think what they were paying the different ranks
Yeah.
actually changed with the standard of living.
Yeah, probably not.
So what they did was just and it was harder to change
Yeah,
what they got, you know, than just to say, oh, okay, let's give them the rank faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was easier to just give them the higher rank faster. I think that's probably what happened.
the Navy did pretty good usually because it wasn't near as many people, you know.
Well, and they were having with linguists, it might have just been with linguists too, they had a lot of, they called it rank inflation or whatever, where people who really shouldn't be getting those ranks were getting like, you know, E5, E6, even E7, because once they got past that first enlistment, no one was re-enlisting. So it
Oh,
would be like instant, you would make like instant E5 or E6 if you re-enlisted.
yeah,
Because they just didn't have enough people
Yeah,
staying in,
right.
you know?
yeah,
And that caused the whole pyramid to scoot up faster.
Yeah.
So, but that was for Arabic and that was for the Navy at
Yeah.
the time. They just didn't, they needed so many Arabic people and they didn't have enough.
well, they allotted so many like E3s over the whole Air Force, you know, and they didn't take into consideration too much priority, I don't know what you call it in the Navy, but
Of your
it-
job.
yeah, job thing, you know.
I
And,
think they do now something
Yeah.
like that.
and there was more, when I was in the Air Force, there were more people in the Air Force than there were in all other ranks of all other branches of the military put together.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
Was it because it was a newer force?
well, it was a newer force and it was, it encompassed so much, you know, they did so much with it, yeah. Yeah, I was only, see, I went in 1955 and the Air Force, I think, started in 1948. I mean, before that it was the U.S. Army Air Force, you know.
Yeah.
And so, part of my uniforms that I got issued were Army Air Force uniforms, yeah, you know, they were still using them up. But, yeah, they really ballooned the Air Force. And of course, the Marines were cut low, and the Navy had quite a few, and the Army maintained their grunts, you know. But then, like I say, in the late 50s, they just wanted to reduce the whole military. And if you were, I can't remember, but like if you happened to be like E2 and you'd been in service for like 3 years or maybe 2 years even, and you were E2, it was automatic discharge. So, I mean, they didn't need you, they didn't want you, and they just thinned them out. And it was, at that time, mostly volunteer service. You know, now everything's volunteer, right? But there were still some carryovers from the draft from Korea, you know. And,
They had a draft for Korea.
oh yeah,
Really?
sure.
See, that's amazing. I've always thought that the last draft was World War II. No, Vietnam was a draft too, right?
I'm not sure about that. Could have
Because
been.
didn't they talk about everybody skipping draft?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Vietnam, they went to Canada.
And I
to
guess
avoid the
that's
draft.
why they don't draft anymore.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's the poor military, really. I mean, you gotta feel sorry for them because they fought all these wars since Vietnam with absolutely no draft.
yeah,
Everybody that's been doing it has been total volunteer.
yeah,
So if you think about it, I think what they've been doing instead of doing a draft is just pumping tons of benefits
yeah.
to like lure the volunteers.
That's right. Right.
And it kind of works. I mean, when
Yeah.
you know that you're going to get free college and you
Yeah.
can get a home loan and
Oh.
all these other things.
Well, I can remember as a civilian contractor on military contracts after I got out of the Air Force, and I'd go to some of the military schools to learn on the equipment, mainly on the technical manuals and operation manuals and stuff for the equipment that we were making. And there'd be guys in there from the Marines that the Marines had, I'm pretty sure they were Marines, but I don't, they must have, did they draft Marines too? I guess maybe they did.
Yeah, I guess they would draft all sorts, right? If however many they needed.
Because there's these Marines in class, and I always thought of Marines as being so gung-ho, hoo-ha,
Oh, yeah,
you know.
they would be all volunteer.
Yeah, but these guys would be disorderly, disruptive, insubordinate in
Oh,
class,
yeah.
and do everything they could. And